up, add a diamond head, and in between that, I started laying all my mid-tones and mid-shadows. That way, you can see how just with white, gray, and black, I'm able to manipulate all the shades and create like a three-dimensional form with light and shadow. Now, details, that's kind of the place where you lose yourself in a painting. Spoken from someone who's been lost in the woods. Well, you can certainly overdo that, and being that it takes more time to clean a mistake up than it does to do it right the first time, that's how I'm able to do this in such a short period, because I've taken the liberty of eliminating most of the mistakes. I didn't say all. If there is a mistake, I'm not telling you. Okay, so now I'm going to do the highlights. The highlights are saved for the last. Right now, technically, people say, that looks pretty nice. I can see down here, I can see the sky and all of that. But remember that the light is a variation of what you're already seeing in a higher key. If it's music, it's 2 or 3 octaves higher. It's the same scale. You know, if it's sound, it's that bright treble versus the bass in the midtones. I've got the bass in the midtones. Here comes the light. I'm using a smaller brush, and I'm going to use a series of little broken strokes. And oh, look at that. Let's have some fun right here. So I'm just going to drop that light right down as if the light was coming from this area, right in there. So imagining the light source, and not necessarily painting the big ball of the moon, because you don't need to do that in every painting, as my art teachers told me. And I had some crazy art teachers. I took art when the big thing is abstract art, which that movement is wonderful, but it was probably furthest away you can get from romantic imagery. And my teachers didn't like that I painted romantic imagery because they said it was kitsch and that it had been done and that there was no artistic merit in it. And I was like, wow, he's destroying my love. And I was like, I don't care, I'm going to paint it because I love it, right? But I'll study your abstract, so then I'll understand what you're talking about. And when I go to those museums where you see there's a big red dot and a line and somebody bought the painting for $100 million, I might understand what they have you looking at. Now I do, so thank God I do, because a lot of that has to do with breaking new ground and all that. But is there ever anything wrong with good old-fashioned nature, good old-fashioned sunsets and moonlight? I figured I'm going to continue that. Anyway, long story short, one of the instructors said something that I remember to this day. He said that illustrators, they will paint and draw the moon or the light, but artists, they will actually paint the light. So illustrators draw the moon, artists paint the effect of light. So I always look for the effect of light, even though I have the moon there. I think it's pretty cool that the lava underneath has the effect of light. So I hit what I call the left side of the brain, and that's the left side is the one that determines whether a painting looks real or not, and whether you can believe it, because nobody likes to be fooled or duped. And the left brain goes, okay, I can see some value in that, it looks real. But the right side of the brain, which makes you buy things on impulse and really happy when you do, it doesn't care about details. It only cares about, does that look good? Does that feel good? What does that say? It doesn't even have to be real. It just has to be. And so a perfect painting to me is a painting that not only captures the mind saying, wow, look at that work that's done in that piece. Really, really awesome. And usually you can see that when you're standing up close to these paintings and seeing all these little dots and dashes. And I started with big bold strokes, now I'm ending up with these smaller strokes. Because if you did this in the beginning, it would take you 2 months to do what I just did here. Alright, adding a little bit of the dots here. This is where you get it. And I hate leaving the spot, because this is the spot where I call the meditative state. When you're doing that thing you love, whether it's, I don't know, gardening, golf, whatever, walking, reading, and you don't know about time anymore, and you don't care about food, or you're not in the same world because you're in that artistic world that exists in your heart and your mind come together, that's the best part. And that's what these little details do for me. But at the same time, I got 5 minutes, so let's put that nice streak of light. Let's try something here. Never done this with acrylics successfully. I'm going to thin this paint down, and this is what I usually do in oils. And I'm going to start from my light source. Take that down a little bit. And I'm going to be a little generous with this. And even though you cannot see, I'll just get warmed up there. Even though you cannot see the sun, you can see the effect of light. And these are these beautiful heavenly light rays that, with the softest of transitions from light to dark, you will see coming down from the heavens. And it's all done with very thin paint and a very delicate stroke. And this will dry out, so it actually, as it dries out, it will actually darken a little bit to a point where you want to go back and hit it a little harder. So now from the source of light, I'll do a pull down. And the first one was the warm-up. The second one, you hit it a little bit harder. Boom, boom. How many people have seen this on the strip? The sun's peeking through the rays like that. Just like that. Now, if I want to make that look like it's playing with the rest of the painting, I can take a little bit of highlight and pretend that those little light streaks are hitting a little bit of these clouds right in the center. And all of a sudden, all the little nuances are adding up. Same paint, same color, same brush. Right? You can imagine those songs, those hallelujah songs in the background. Hallelujah. I won't sing, I won't. You tell someone, these seats, by the way, have a 2-drink minimum. That means you have to give me 2 drinks at now. Because they won't let me buy it. I don't have a cruise card. So membership has its privileges. All right, let me just finish this out. Yep. Ooh, right on time. Fasten your seatbelt, folks. We're coming in for a landing. Now, the eye of the wave is what I consider to be a very beautiful part. Because in surfing, that's where the action is. The light comes right through the water, hits it, and the light going through that emerald water, especially wherever you're at, it resonates. We all look at color differently. Some of us are attracted to these colors, some are attracted to no colors, but wherever that light is, that's really fun to look at. And as a surfer, that's where the pearl is. So I'm just going to add a little bit more light right there, boom, as you can see through the wave. And then with a little tiny bit of dark, I'll do a little bit of shading, so that doesn't look like I just stuck it there like I did. There we go. And if I use the strokes right, every little stroke will help in the movement of water. Because when you're portraying water, you want to move with the water. If you're doing clouds, you do clouds. Some of you are tried it and say, my trees look like broccoli. Well, stop thinking of broccoli. Think of trees. My clouds look like baked potatoes. You're making me hungry. Stop it. Boom. Oh, look at that. All with the knowledge of value. Value is how light or how dark something is. Intensity or chroma, those apply to the colored paintings that you see there. Now, how do you know when you're done? Well, if you're a beginner, you don't know. That's why you mess it up, right? If you're experienced, you'll know what you wanted to say, and if everything was fulfilled and there was nothing else left that we could do. There's a point where there are no more brush strokes that I could add that will make the painting look any better. So, with that being said, I am going to take my brightest color, hit it right in there, fade that out as if the light is hitting like the clouds around there. And this is how the earlier colors have dried in and kind of darken themselves up. Add a little bit more light in this area. And voila. There we have it. Beautiful painting.
Let's hear it for Walfrido.
Wait. I gotta put it in here. Not finished. Okay. And the beautiful part about acrylics is it dries so fast you can do this. Now if I did this in oil, I'd done the backstage and would have talked about how beautiful the painting would have been when I finished it. But now there's a good chance. I love this part. It's like the big reveal, right, on those weight loss shows where those picks up your nose. Let's take a look. What do you think, huh?
What do you think? I hope everybody was paying attention because there's going to be an art quiz to follow. Everybody ready to go?
Now you guys took a workshop. It's your turn. Buy the 3 tubes and go for it.
All right, folks, one more round of applause for Walfrido.